folks who were part of the Black Panther Party started out with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Folks like H. Rap Brown, folks like Kathleen Cleveland, folks like Stokely Carmichael, known as Kwame Ture, and a number of other different folks. For those of you who are unaware, during the 60s, the hardest thing on the streets was a revolutionary. It wasn't a drug dealer, it wasn't, regular jack on the block, you know what I'm saying? It was a revolutionary. Because of the fact that the cats on the block was getting chased by the police, they was being terrorized by the police, but the freedom fighters was chasing the police. You understand what I'm saying? They was putting them in check. They was holding them accountable. They was making sure that there wasn't as many murders as it is now. They was making sure that crime in the community was down. You know what I mean? So that right there, that's the hardest thing on the block. A lot of times, we hear folks, we listen to people when we talk about freedom fighters and revolutionaries, so on and so forth, and people look at it like it's just, these cats is conscious or whatever. Like we all walking around with jugs of water and staffs and everything talking about give thanks. You know what I'm saying? The hardest thing on the block, the most revolutionary thing on the block is a freedom fighter, somebody who's going to stand up against oppression, somebody who's going to stand up against the United States government, the government that oppresses you, the government that falsely accuses you, that locks you up, that beats you down, that terrorizes you, that shoots you in the back, shoots you in the front, on camera, off camera, behind the scenes, whatever. The ones that execute you without due cause, you know what I'm saying? That's who the freedom fighters fight. And anything outside of that, as they used to say in the commercials, is uncivilized. You know what I'm saying? Many of us, when you talk about freedom fighters, many of us come from the community. We come from the block. A lot of folks, that don't know my past or whatever, they'll see me and they'll say, okay, well, this cat right here, he always talking the righteous consciousness, whatever, so on and so forth, and they get it twisted. They get it twisted, they get it confused. They think that because of the fact that you're not running up on cats, they think that's soft. But to me, the softest thing in the world is when you running up on oppressed people. When you running up robbing people who live in communities that you live in. When you disrespecting folks that live in the same type of conditions that you live in. To me, that's the most cowardly, lamest stuff that you can do. But when you stand up against the folks who put the drugs in the community, when you stand up against the folks who put the guns in the community, that's when you're really hard. When you ain't running from the police, when you're running at the police, that's what's happening. Imam Jamil, Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown, was and is one of those people. As H. Rap Brown, I was talking to a brother one time. I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And for those of you that don't know anything about Connecticut, don't get oversized and think that, it's just some old lames or some cats with some money, whatever. I'm 45 minutes away from Harlem. A lot of stuff that y'all did, we did it before you thought about doing it. We from the hood. I grew up in the projects. Is that to glorify it? No, I'm just letting you know because some people get it confused sometimes, right? But where I come from, I was talking to a brother one time and he said, hey man, I remember I was in the military and whenever H. Rap Brown would come within a 50-mile radius, they'll have us on the back of military Humvees and whatnot with 50mm, 50 caliber machine guns. Because of the fact they know when H. Rap Brown came through town, he was talking about burn, baby, burn. He was talking about burning it down and the people would respond accordingly. Because he had muscle in his voice, right? A lot of people talk about if they were around when El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, when Malcolm X was around, they'd have been down with Malcolm. A lot of people talk about they was around when the Black Panther Party was around, they'd have been down with the Black Panther Party. But most of those people just talk because of the fact that it sounds good. Because of the fact that you really would have been down with that type of program, there's programs that exist right now that you can get down with. Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown, to me, is the closest thing to Malcolm X alive today. He's the reason why I took my shahada in that little yellow building over there. And the government knows that because of the fact that they recognize that with a brother like that who has muscle in his voice, that has intelligence, and is able to get out there and does not fear anything or anyone but his creator, they recognize you gotta snatch that cat up. Because of the fact that he creates others like him.